This grandma's heartbreaking true story will haunt you forever. Insane overcoming joy. They say every town has its secrets, but none like Rowell Springs. There's a hushed rumor, a tale soaked in shadows and wet pavement, that whispers of an old lady and her cursed trinkets. While other grandmas bake cookies and knit socks, Clara Hawthorne was known as the town witch. Every neighborhood kid feared her, and every parent warned their children about her mysterious backyard, where the air felt thick and the hair on your neck stood up. The locals said Clara could talk to spirits, conjure storms, and once, she even brought a beloved cat back to life only to have it disappear under a full moon. On stormy nights, a chilling laughter echoed from her home. Strange lights flickered in the windows, and the trees out back swayed mysteriously as if sharing secrets with the wind. And yet, the deeper you stared into the heart of that darkened house, the more it beckoned you, calling with promises of untold stories. Whispers would reach your ears about the strange happenings. The neighbors reported shadows skimming just above the ground, things that weren't there one moment and gone the next. You'd often catch sight of Clara standing in her garden, weaving something in her hands, a glinting object that seemed to shimmer with unsettling energy. There was something unearthly about Clara. The stories didn't end with just her never-frozen soup or her peculiar collection of odd baubles. Folks said she once vanished for a week, only to stumble back into town, eyes wide, her fingers clutching an intricately carved amulet, pulsing like a heartbeat. No one knew where she'd been or what had happened, and the tension in the air thickened with each retelling. More than a decade passed, and Clara had grown frail, a glimpse of a bygone strength. But it wasn't her age that raised eyebrows, it was the strange occurrences surrounding her. The fleeting figures some caught in their peripheral vision, a chilling feeling that crawled on the skin whenever she spoke of her past. People said something was coming, something dark. But no one wanted to believe it until it was too late. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The night Clara's house plunged into chaos is forever etched in the minds of the townsfolk. A thunderous crack split the sky open, followed by a blinding flash, and the unmistakable sound of shattering glass echoed through the streets. Clara's front door flew open, and a blinding white light erupted from within her home, illuminating the faces of horror-struck neighbors. They stood glued to the ground, terror gripping their hearts. What was happening? Was this the darkness they had felt creeping closer? From the light came Clara, or the shell of who she used to be. She stumbled out onto the porch, her expression twisted with fear, the kind that pinches your heart. What had she unleashed? In her hands, the amulet glowed even brighter. Crowds gathered, whispers filled the air like smoke, but among them, a singular voice lifted above the rest, trembling with dread. What are you hiding, Clara? The truth hung heavy in the air. At that moment, Clara met their gazes, and with a shaking breath she whispered, "It's not what I'm hiding. It's what's about to be unleashed." What's coming next? What terrible truth did Clara really uncover? The silence that followed Clara's words seemed to stretch for an eternity. A deep knot formed in the chests of the crowd. A collective breath held tight as they waited for the old woman to explain. Her eyes, once a warm hazel, now flickered with the same electric intensity as the amulet in her grasp. It pulsed, casting erratic shadows that danced across the pavement, each beat resonating with nervous whispers from the gathering throng. Then it came, a low rumble, like the growl of a sleeping beast beneath the earth. The ground trembled slightly underfoot, and the frigid air buzzed with a disquieting energy. "I've awakened something that was never meant to return," Clara finally burst out, her voice laced with urgency that cut through the fear thick in the air. "A force that transcends time and space, a darkness that has lingered, waiting." Gasps erupted from the crowd as Clara struggled to maintain her footing. But it wasn't the staggering physical form of the old woman they feared. It was the haunting knowledge that something sinister was circling them, something that had been unleashed rather than conjured. Eyes darted, hearts thundered, and in that moment, myths of ghosts and phantoms morphed into the terrifying weight of reality. "Clara, what have you done?" yelled a voice from the back of the crowd, barely able to contain its shock and rage. It was Mr. Dalton, the local barber and the self-appointed town skeptic. He had always dismissed the tales surrounding Clara, but now he stood frozen, facing his worst fears that were now confronting him in the flesh. "You can't just play with forces you don't understand." Clara's expression turned fierce, igniting a flicker of the defiance from her younger days. "You think this was a game? The amulet, it's not merely a charm. It's a key to our history, dark as it is. But it also unlocks the gates for what lies beyond." Her voice softened, weighed down with sorrow. "I did this for the future, to protect our legacy. But it has gone horribly wrong." The townsfolk exchanged glances, a silent conversation of fear and disbelief. In that moment, another crack rumbled overhead, casting disarray among the townsfolk like dominoes. A deep cloud formed above Clara's house, dark and swirling, blocking out the moonlight. Shadows lengthened and elongated, snapping to life with each instinctive shake of Clara's trembling hands. Then came a whisper, chaotic and insistent. "Clara!" it called, echoing from the dark clouds that brewed above. The word echoed like a threat, wrapping the air tight around their throats. A writhing mass seemed to slither between the shadows, creating forms half seen and fully felt. "What do you want?" Clara cried out, her resolve blending with fear as she began to realize the gravity of her actions. The crowd held its breath, knowing they were witnesses to something far beyond mere mortals. The shadows thickened, pulsing rhythmically with Clara's fear. Inside them, flickers of light battled against the darkness, warring flashes illuminating twisted faces that spoke of old grievances, long-forgotten terrors. Then, with a sudden roar, a figure broke from the shadows, a murky shape coalescing into a form that both terrified and captivated. Eyes glowed fiercely from within the darkness, eyes that promised retribution, and the answers they feared to discover. "Clara Hawthorne," it rasped, each word slicing through the crowd as silence like a knife. "You have awakened me. Now you must face your past. And mine." What had she truly unleashed? What did this dark figure want from Clara? As uncertainty gripped the air, the question lingered. Could anyone survive the reckoning that was about to unfold? The air crackled with tension, a nervous energy that coursed through the townsfolk like a jolt of electricity. Clara stood rooted in place, the figure looming in front of her, its shadow stretching long and dark against the pavement. The townspeople began to back away, whispering, their faces pale and drawn. This was not just a story for the weary and the curious. This was a nightmare brought to life. "What do you mean, Clara?" Mr. Dalton stammered, struggling to piece together the horror unfolding before them. "What past? What have you opened?" The spirit sliced through the air with a voice like broken glass. "The past, Clara. The very fabric of your existence. Woven with secrets and betrayals. You thought you could silence it with an amulet? You've only strengthened the ties that bind." Clara's heart raced. She had spent her life hiding from the ghosts of her family's history, but now they stood before her, not as whispers but as tangible nightmares. Each flicker of light revealed another terrible truth, another hidden grimace that tugged at her soul. "Clara!" cried a frantic voice. It was Ellie, her granddaughter, pushing through the throng, eyes wide and pleading. "Please don't listen to it. It wants to hurt you." Ellie's words hung heavy in the air, echoing Clara's own thoughts. She had tried to shield her family from the darkness, to carry the weight herself. "I can handle this," Clara shouted, her defiance rising. "You think you can face what you cannot comprehend?" The emerged figure laughed, a chilling sound that enveloped them all. "You are nothing but a fleeting breath against the storm. Your choice was made the moment you grasped the amulet." The wind picked up, swirling like a hurricane around them, and the darkness grew thicker, invading their lungs. Faces twisted in terror, desperation sprouting like weeds in an abandoned garden. "What do you want?" Clara demanded, tears blurring her vision. "Why now? Why here?" "Your legacy and its reckoning." The figure's eyes blazed brighter, revealing the tortured souls trapped within its essence. "You must confront what you buried. Failure to do so will unleash calamity upon this land." "Stop!" Clara shouted, her voice wavering. Memories flooded in, shadows of her past that flickered like a broken film reel. She didn't want to remember the estrangement, the betrayal, and the losses that had stitched her heart into fragile fabric. Yet even as she fought against those memories, they pressed upon her, a weight too heavy to escape. The crowd began to inch back in sheer terror, murmurs spiraling like smoke through the air. "What does that mean?" someone asked, voice trembling. "What are we supposed to do?" Clara turned toward them, feeling a wave of warmth wrap around her family's love, and with it came an unexpected surge of confidence. "We can confront this together," she shouted, the words tumbling forth like a wave crashing against the shore. "If we stand united, maybe we can break the cycle." But Clara's conviction faltered as she caught sight of the swirling mass of darkness, sensing its anticipation, its hunger. The figure twisted and morphed within the shadows, visages of anguish warping and reforming, eager to absorb their fear. Suddenly a hand tugged at Clara's sleeve, pulling her back to reality. It was Ellie, gaze full of determination. "We can't let it win, Grandma. We have to find the truth. Together." The townsfolk looked to Clara, some filled with defiance, others with skepticism. But they were all bound by one question: was facing the past worth the risk when the shadows seemed so intent on swallowing them whole? "Do you trust me?" Clara asked, her voice steadier now as she faced the darkness with renewed spirit. An eerie silence blanketed the ground, leaving only the distant rumble of thunder above. The figure leaned closer, its malevolence spilling onto the crowd as it hissed, "The reckoning is upon you, Clara. You cannot hide forever." Clara turned the amulet in her palm, feeling the heat of its pulsing glow. The moment hung heavy, thick with tension. All eyes were on her. Would she step forward, ready to confront her family's legacy? Or would she let the darkness claim them all? With a heart that raced like a trapped bird, she took a step into the unknown, daring to unveil the truth mired in shadows. What awaited her on the other side of that threshold? And would their courage be enough to unveil the hidden terror that claimed their lineage? Clara stepped forward, her heart pounding like a drum echoing in a cavern. The air stilled, thick as molasses, and for a moment, all eyes remained locked on her. Shadows danced and flickered at the edges of her vision, taunting her with memories she wished to keep buried. Each breath felt like a weight pressing against her chest, a reminder that she was not just fighting for herself, but for Ellie, the townsfolk, and the fractured legacy that had wound its way through generations. The figure's laughter, cruel and mocking, sent chills racing down her spine. "Do you think courage alone can shield you from the truth?" it sneered. "You tread on sacred ground where lies fester like open wounds." "Enough!" Clara's voice rang out sharp and clear. She clutched the amulet tightly, its warmth pulsing to life beneath her hand. "This ends tonight. Whatever I uncover, I will face." "Such fire!" The figure cackled, its shifting form surrounded by writhing tendrils of darkness. "But what will you do when the truth shatters your very existence?" A gust of wind whipped through the square, and the crowd shuddered, torn between awe and dread. Clara looked around, seeing the uncertainty on her neighbors' faces. But there were glimmers of solidarity as well, thumbs up, nods, even whispered vows of support. Ellie stepped to her side, eyes blazing with determination. "We'll face it together, Grandma. Whatever it is, we'll fight it." Clara swallowed hard, feeling a warmth spread in her chest, pushing back the icy grip of fear. She focused on the amulet again. "Show me," she shouted, her voice ringing against the darkened sky. Instantly, the world around them blurred. The air shimmered and twisted, and the ground seemed to melt away. Clara found herself transported into a memory not her own, but of those who had come before her. They stood before her, blurry figures adorned in garb from a bygone era, faces twisted in anguish. "Look closely." The voice of the spirit reverberated around her. "These are the chains of your lineage, the blood ties that bind you to your fate." Clara watched, heart racing, as scenes unfolded like pages in a book. Betrayal over a stolen love, an innocent life lost to madness, whispers of curses echoing through time. Secrets she had never known erupted like fireworks in the night, illuminating an ignoble past soaked in betrayal and sorrow. Her knees weakened as she stumbled back, a flood of emotions welling up: pain, regret, fear of the darkness that whispered of despair. "Is this what you fear?" the figure demanded, its voice now an echo of countless mournful souls. "Will you abandon them? Or will you face your own truth?" The visions turned darker, hinting at a reckoning that had plagued her family for generations. The shadowy wraiths reached out for Clara's spirit, tugging at the edges of her heart. The air grew thick with the scent of ash and despair. Clara steadied herself, feeling Ellie grasp her hand tightly. We're not going to let it take our story. We write our own destiny. What can a fragment of light do against this eternal night? The figure taunted, drawing closer, the chill of its presence seeping into Clara's bones. She felt the weight of the stories, the lost dreams of her ancestors, pressing against her heart. We will find a way through together, she shouted back, holding up the amulet. It blazed fiercely, casting away the shadows with its radiant glow. Foolish child, roared the spirit, its face twisting into a mask of rage. You dare think you can rewrite fate? The ground shook violently, and Clara felt her resolve burn brighter than ever. As the darkness tried to swallow her whole, she held onto the warmth of Ellie's grip, and the light of the amulet pulsed wildly, igniting hope in the midst of despair. Suddenly, Clara understood. The truth they were battling, her family's nightmare, was deeply woven into her. They were shadows of her own making, fears she had hidden away. If she wanted to break free, she must embrace all of it, the light and the dark. Then show me, Clara called out, her voice strong now, the flames of resilience roaring. I'm ready. But just as she made her proclamation, the darkness erupted. Tendrils shot out from the figure, grasping for Clara, wanting to engulf her in chaos. A deafening roar filled the air, drowning out the world around her as she braced herself for the confrontation she feared most. Would she unravel the threads of her family's haunted past? Or would the darkness drag her into its chaos, weaving her into the very fabric of despair she sought to escape? The battlefield of legacy loomed large before her, and the shadows danced, eager for the story's next twist. The darkness surged forward, tendrils snaking around Clara like grasping fingers. The chilling laugh of the figure echoed in her ears, drowning out the supportive murmurs from the crowd tethered to the reality outside this nightmare. Clara's heart raced, each thud resonating in her ears as memories of her ancestors flashed in her mind. The pain, the suffering, their untold stories were alive with vivid detail. She could almost hear their cries, their pleas for freedom. Desperation clawed at her insides, but in that moment, Clara felt a powerful surge of defiance welling up inside her. Enough, she cried, gripping the amulet tightly. It pulsed brighter, burning against her palm, as if it were alive and responding to her determination. You will not take me. You will not take us. With a deep breath, Clara focused on the shadows, visualizing them morphing into the truth she had long avoided. The swirling darkness hesitated for a heartbeat, and in that fleeting moment of uncertainty, she thought of Ellie, of hope, of love, of a future untainted by the past. Show me everything, she demanded, her voice steady against the chaos. Let me see the truth. The amulet erupted in light, pushing back against the encroaching shadows. Clara felt the warmth envelop her, lifting the veil of fear. It was like a whirlwind igniting her courage, revealing glimpses of history intermixed with sorrow and pain that echoed from generation to generation. It wasn't perfect, nothing was, but there was beauty hidden in the struggle. Suddenly, Clara was living it. She stood in a darkened room, peering through the eyes of a distant ancestor. Clenched fists, hollowed eyes, and a heart heavy with betrayal stole her breath. Betrayed by one she loved, a sister, a brother, or perhaps a lost love. Clara could feel the anguish rise like bile in her throat, but she also saw a flicker of resolve from that ancestor, an absolute willingness to fight back against the darkness. The scene shifted rapidly, revealing a flickering light, a kind of rebellion against despair. With a gasp, Clara realized the connection. This wasn't just her family's legacy. It was a shared human experience of facing loss and rising up. The figure began to scream, a horrific banshee-like wail, filled with rage and pain. You think you can step into their shoes? You're nothing but a flicker. You cannot erase what was born in blood. It's not erasing, Clara shouted back, filled with fervor. It's embracing. I will carry their pain, their truths. I choose to rewrite the narrative. Empowered by the collective resilience of her ancestors, she felt their pain transform into a beacon of strength. The shadows recoiled, the figure faltering, trembling in the face of her newfound refusal to submit. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across its twisted face. Clara stepped forward, her voice firm. Together we can shine light on the darkest corners. The truth will not shatter me, it will set me free. A blinding burst of light exploded from the amulet. Clara instinctively shielded her eyes as the shockwaves reverberated through the space, the darkness fighting back in wild desperation. Figures writhed as they were banished back into the shadows, their grasping hands retreating with an anguished roar. But before the world could fully reel back into clarity, a new figure emerged, a silhouette different from the tainted wraiths before. It was cloaked in radiant light, bearing the essence of resilience and love Clara recognized deep in her heart. Clara, the voice was soft yet resonant, echoing familiarity. "Who are you?" she asked, her heart hammering with anticipation. As the light grew brighter, she felt the air shift around her. The specter stepped closer, and Clara's breath caught in her throat. "I am the key to your family's true salvation." Suddenly, a wrenching scream echoed from behind, and the world around her trembled with uncertainty as she braced herself for an unforeseen reckoning. Would this new light guide her toward redemption or deeper into the abyss? Hope and terror entwined within her heart as she faced the mystery ahead. Clara's breath quickened, every fiber of her being tingling with connecting threads of courage and dread. The realization washed over her as she peered into the glowing figure. This presence felt like a long-lost part of her soul, a piece she had always known yet never truly met. "Who are you?" she asked again, urgency edging her words. But before she could receive an answer, the shadows roared back, a chaotic symphony of despair that clashed against the rising light. They surged, encircling her once more, the anguish palpable. The figure, now closer and more defined, extended a hand toward Clara. "You are stronger than they know, but you must choose," it whispered, the voice laced with warmth and wisdom. "You can harbor their pain or let it consume you." Clara stared, her mind racing. "What do you mean?" "I want to break this cycle. I want to be the one to change it." The figure nodded slowly, the light shifting, casting flickering shadows around them. "To change it, you must face the darkness. You must face those you love and those who have loved you," they replied. Suddenly, a crushing wave of realization hit Clara. Images of Ellie flooded her mind, moments of laughter, shared dreams, whispers exchanged under the blanket fort they'd built as children. But there were shadows too. Secrets, unspoken fears, and doubts that could unravel everything. The shadows surged forward again, and Clara felt the familiar grip of despair tightening around her throat. "No, I refuse to go back," she shouted, pushing her hands out in defiance. But the unfurling darkness didn't listen. It coiled tighter, its icy fingers clawing at her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Clara gasped, the fear creeping up like icy tendrils. This wasn't just about her. It was about Ellie being drawn into this chaos too. "Do you understand now?" The figure's voice rang clearer, resonating amidst the turmoil. "You must unlock the truth of your hearts. Only then can you truly confront the abyss." Clara felt her knees buckle as the weight of the ancestral burdens crashed down on her like a tsunami. But there was something else swirling in the depths of the chaos, a glimmer of light, woven into her fear. It was hope, a stubborn flicker that refused to be extinguished. Gathering her strength, Clara raised the amulet, letting the warmth radiate from it fill her with purpose. "I choose to transcend this darkness. I choose to uncover the truth and heal my family's wounds." As if responding to her declaration, the shadows exploded in a torrent of ear-splitting screams. They lashed out in fury, but this time Clara stood her ground. The luminous figure beside her bolstered her resolve, anchoring her against the tempest. In that moment the air thickened, charged with energy as visions began to swirl before Clara, echoes of her family gathering in the long-forgotten moments of love that outweighed their grief. "Embrace them. Let the truth free you," the figure urged, its voice tangling with the wailing darkness. Armed with love as her weapon, Clara plunged into the depths, reaching for what mattered most. "I remember. I will not forget," she shouted, plucking the threads of pain from the shadows, weaving them into a tapestry of love, healing, and forgiveness. But as she grasped for the last strand of connection, the ambient noise shifted to whispers threatening to pull her the other way. Faces of the past flashed before her, not just wraiths but reminders of her need for honesty. Guilt twisted in her stomach. There were secrets buried deep, fears she needed to confront. "Clara," the light flickered, pulling at her consciousness. "The truth lies within. Will you accept it?" But before she could respond, the ground beneath her trembled violently. A blinding flash engulfed her, and the world exploded into pure white. In that blinding moment it felt as if time stood still, suspended in chaos. Clara's heart raced, caught between the embrace of light and the shadow's suffocating grip. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself standing in an unfamiliar place, a room filled with mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. And amidst the scattered reflections, she heard Ellie's voice echoing at the far end, calling her name. "Claire, is that you?" The question lingered sharp and unresolved, sending chills down her spine. Every mirror shimmered with untold truths, and she knew the confrontation ahead was inevitable. Where would it lead? Only darkness remained, or light. Clara turned slowly, her heart pounding like a drum. Each mirror held a version of her that felt alien, yet achingly familiar. Some reflected the joyful, carefree moments of her childhood, the girl clutching Ellie's hand, laughter ringing out like music. Others displayed visions of pain, isolation, and regret, those haunted expressions whispering secrets meant to stay buried. "Claire, is that really you?" Ellie's voice was softer now, filled with a lingering hope that made Clara's chest tighten. She took a step forward, eyes wide as she scanned the reflections, searching for the truth that could lead to her sister. "Ellie, I'm here," she called out, her voice echoing against the mirrored walls, each word a lifeline thrown into the depths of uncertainty. Suddenly, shadows stirred within the glass, morphing and twisting in ways that made Clara shudder. She could hear muffled voices, a discordant blend of arguments and cries, blending into a cacophony of confusion that scraped against her senses. It felt like a reminder of every cherished moment and fractured bond, swirling together into a memory of heartache. As she stepped closer to the end of the room, a cold dread nestled in the pit of her stomach. She had long avoided the messy truths that laid hidden beneath laughter and smiles. But this was different. Nothing could stay buried here. The mirrors beckoned with their unflinching gaze, demanding she confront the very things she wanted to deny. "Clara," Ellie's voice came again, fragile but insistent. "You have to face what's inside. You can't hide anymore." Clara wrapped her arms around herself, fighting the swell of emotions. But what if it hurts? The question hung in the air, thick with vulnerability. Yet beneath the trepidation, a spark of determination flared bright. "Pain is part of healing," the luminous figure from before echoed softly in her mind. "You cannot break the cycle without acknowledging the wounds." Taking a deep breath, Clara closed her eyes, envisioning the cracked pieces of her past. One by one, she began to confront them. Memories of their mother's quiet sobs, the distant echoes of arguments during family dinners that spiraled out of control, and the sorrowful silence that fell after Uncle Joe's accident. Clara's heart ached with each recollection, but she pressed forward, searching for the common thread that linked each moment, the heavy burden of unvoiced truths, and the weight of expectations that crushed them all. Opening her eyes, Clara stared into the nearest mirror. It reflected not only her face but also the lives that swirled around her like a storm. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for Ellie, who deserved to be whole, and for their mom, whose heart had become a scarred battleground. With a tremor of resolve, Clara whispered, "I will face it." The shadows hissed ominously, rising up in protest. She felt their anger, but this time it was different. The fear that had once paralyzed her now propelled her forward. "Let me see her," Clara demanded, her voice gaining strength. "Let me see the truth." The moment shifted. The mirrors cracked and splintered, revealing a corridor of light. In the heart of the light, Clara spotted a figure familiar and yet distant. It was Ellie, but she seemed trapped, hidden behind a veil of darkness that squirmed like a living thing. "Clara!" Ellie cried out, urgency washing over her face. "Help me!" Clara lunged toward the light, but the dark shards of past emotions lunged back, clawing at her. "No!" she shouted, pushing against the suffocating shadows that danced around her. "Clara, you need to face the truth. Only then can I be free." The intensity of Ellie's plea cut through the chaos, igniting something deep within Clara. What was the truth? What had been left unsaid? The shadows pressed closer, the whispers crescendoing into a haunting chorus. Clara's eyes darted around, her confidence wavering. She was on the edge of the abyss, and it was calling her name. If I fail, but there was no time for doubts. A thought surged through her. Truth was worth the pain. She had to confront it all, to understand the ties that bound them in darkness. With one final defiant cry, Clara threw open her arms, letting the shadows wash over her. I accept you. I accept it all. The world twisted and turned in a savage whirl, memories flooding in. And as the chaotic symphony reached its peak, Clara stepped forward into the light, weaving through her past to meet Ellie face to face. But as the darkness began to recede, she felt an icy grip snapping at her heels. In the midst of the uproar, a voice, low and sinister, spoke up just behind her. You think you can escape the truth? Clara turned, dread pooling in her gut. Shadows writhed and twisted, the air thick with tension. What did that voice mean? Would the truth unite them or tear them apart forever? Clara felt the icy tendrils of fear creep up her spine as she turned to face the sinister voice. A figure emerged from the shadows, a silhouette so dark it seemed to consume the very light around it. Clara squinted, desperate to see more clearly, but the shroud of shadows obscured every detail. It leaned closer, a whisper just above her ear. You think you can confront the truth without consequence? You're naive, the voice hissed, cold and mocking. Go away, Clara shouted, her voice a fragile defiance against the overwhelming dread. It was a hollow cry, barely echoing through the fog of uncertainty. But the figure only chuckled, a sound that echoed like broken glass. Your sister is trapped because of you. You're the one who can't let go. The shadows are your burden, not mine. Clara took a shaky breath. Memories flooded back, moments when she had turned her back on Ellie, times when she could have reached out but chose not to. Guilt clawed at her chest. No, this is not about blame. It's about healing. The shadows rippled around the figure, almost alive, twisting and swirling in a dance that was both eerie and mesmerizing. Clara's mind raced. She felt the weight of those memories and truths pressing down on her. What had she been hiding? Your past isn't just a ghost, it's your chains. The figure taunted as it stepped forward, revealing a glimpse of dread woven into features that almost looked like Ellie's, distorted and contorted with anguish. Clara's heart raced, her pulse echoing in her ears. She wouldn't back down. I can handle it. I've faced my past before. Have you truly? The figure's crooked smile sent shivers down her spine. What about the secrets you've kept? The fears that tie you to your mother's sorrow? Face them, Clara, or lose your sister forever. The connection to Ellie felt like a thread fraying at every moment of hesitation. Desperation ignited inside her. I won't let her go. I refuse. With a surge of anger, Clara sprang forward into the light, determined to reach Ellie. The dark figure lunged, but Clara was fueled now, vibrant and fierce. She charged into the shimmering corridor, her heart singing out a battle cry against the chaos. Ellie! She shouted, her voice ringing clear amidst the cacophony of lost memories. I'm coming. Drawing closer, Clara could see Ellie's frightened face, the hazel eyes wide with fear and hope. But the web of darkness tightened around her, strands wrapping like vines, pulling Ellie deeper into the shadows. Clara! Don't let it take me. Ellie's voice trembled, barely breaking through the oppressive weight surrounding her. Clara reached for her sister, stretching her hand as far as it would go. Hold on, Ellie. I'm here. The dark figure sneered from behind her, its eyes glinting ominously, a predator watching a wounded prey. You think love can save her? You must know the truth first. Clara's breath hitched. She felt the panic threatening to overwhelm her. But in that moment something shifted. Within her chest, buried beneath layers of hurt, a fiery resolve sparked. The truth was not her enemy. It was the key, a light to cut through the darkness. Tell me, Clara yelled, her voice ringing through the corridor, echoing with raw power. What must I face? The figure recoiled, shadows swirling wildly around it. A noise broke through the shadows, a cacophony of whispers calling her name, igniting her memories, illuminating paths untrodden. Face yourself, Clara. Face the pain. In that moment, realization washed over her. This battle wasn't just about Ellie. It was about reclaiming her lost self, about breaking the chains of regret and despair. With that awakening, Clara turned back to Ellie, her voice steady now. I will free you. Together we will confront what's been hidden. We will face the pain, every last scar. But as Clara reached out once more, a blinding light engulfed the corridor, and she felt the shadows pull at her again, stronger than before. No, Clara yelled, desperation fueling her final push. You will not take her. The shadows writhed in anger, but Clara stood her ground, ready to face the truth of her own heart once and for all. But just as she felt the last remnants of her past shatter around her, the dark figure let out a piercing laugh that shattered the light. You think this is the end? The truth comes at a price, Clara, and you'll pay dearly. And in that moment, with the shadows clawing desperately at her mind, Clara realized with cold dread that the true horror was only just beginning. What price would she pay to uncover the truth? The time for answers was closing in fast, but would she risk everything for the light? The blinding light consumed Clara, wrapping around her like a tightening noose. She felt weightless, suspended between the echoes of her past and the desperate need to save Ellie. Panic surged, but deep within her, a flicker of hope ignited. The thought raced through her mind. I will not lose her. As the light faded, Clara found herself standing in an otherworldly realm, a swirling mist of memories enveloping her. Before her an endless hall stretched, lined with doors, some cracked and splintered, others gleaming but shrouded in shadows. Each door pulsed with a life of its own, resonating with the laughter, tears, and heartache that belonged to days long gone. Choose wisely. The dark figure's voice thundered through the mists, an echo that rattled her bones. Each door leads to a different truth, but only one can lead you to Ellie. Clara's heart raced. She scanned the doors, each one seeming to pull her closer, whispering secrets long buried. The memories danced before her eyes. The day Ellie fell off her bicycle, Clara's laughter dulled by the weight of their mother's silence. The morning their father left, a storm raging in the house that no one dared talk about. Regret washed over her like a wave, nearly dragging her down. Stop hesitating. The figure loomed closer, its presence as chilling as the truth it represented. What will it be, Clara? Will you face the past or remain a prisoner of it? All at once Clara knew. She must face the hardest truth buried deep within. The door shimmering faintly at the end of the hall caught her eye, pulsating with light. Hand trembling, she stepped forward. As her fingers brushed against the cool metal, an icy jolt coursed through her. Open it, the dark figure urged, its voice suffused with malice. Clara hesitated, fear gnawing at her. What lay beyond? Would it shatter her or set her free? With a breath of determination, she shoved the door open. Inside, memories flooded back like a raging river. Clara found herself transported to the living room of her childhood home, the air thick with unspoken words. She watched her younger self sitting on the floor, coloring, while their mother sat on the couch, distant and lost in her own world of grief. Clara's small hand reached toward her mother, fingers trembling, yearning for connection, yet the mother's cold silence stung more than any word could. Mom? Young Clara's voice echoed. The hollow emptiness in the room was deafening. A shadow shifted in the corner, and Clara turned, heart racing. Her mother stood there, a specter of sorrow, face drawn and eyes vacant. It broke Clara. The truth was plain. They had all been abandoned in their own way, chained to the weight of grief, her mother to loss and Clara to regret. Why didn't you reach out? Clara asked her mother, voice breaking. Why did you leave us alone? In response, the dark figure's laughter echoed ominously. You think healing is a choice? It's a burden that fractures you. The moment clipped and Clara's younger self faded into the shadows, leaving her standing alone with the figure pressing closer, its power increasing. Face what you have denied, it demanded. Only then can you save your sister. Clara's chest tightened, memories swirling chaotically. Every moment of hesitation, every time she shunned the pain for comfort, grew heavier to bear. No more. Clara shouted, casting her gaze defiantly toward the figure. I will bear this pain, break these chains. In that moment of defiance, the darkness erupted around her, swirling into wild, angry currents. But just as Clara felt the chains loosening, the figure lunged forward, wrapping its cold fingers around her throat. To embrace the truth, Clara, can lead to unimaginable pain and loss. The shadows swirled, closing in as Clara fought against its grip, desperately grasping for the light that had once illuminated her path. Where was the boundary between love and sacrifice? Clara's heart pounded, understanding dawning in the chaos. The true battle wasn't against the figure or the shadows but inside herself. Could she truly embrace what she'd lost? And in doing so save Ellie? But just as she mustered the strength to push forward, the darkness howled louder than before, threatening to consume all hope. The choice loomed. Would she crumble beneath the weight of truth, or could she face her innermost demons and emerge stronger? With dread tightening around her heart, Clara realized the darkest hour was still yet to come and she was running out of time. What must be sacrificed to save her sister? The world around Clara shimmered and flickered, realities colliding in a patchwork of past sorrows and lost connections. Her heart raced as the realization washed over her. To save Ellie, she must confront the very fears that had haunted her for too long. She could see her sister's terrified eyes beyond the veil of shadows, begging for rescue, but the darkness pushed against her, seeking to pin her down. "Stay strong, Ellie," Clara screamed, her voice hoarse, electrified with raw emotion. The shadows tightened their grip, pulling her back. "I won't let you down. I won't let fear tear us apart." With a surge of determination, Clara turned her gaze back to the menacing figure. "You think you can break me? I'm willing to face the truth now." The figure recoiled, malevolence oozing from every pore. "You don't know what you're asking for. Pain is inevitable. Pain strips you bare. Exposing your vulnerabilities, your shame, bring it on," Clara cried, her voice booming in defiance. "The darkness can only exist where I allow it. I choose to confront my demons to heal for Ellie." With every ounce of courage, she thrust her hand toward the shadows, the glowing amulet radiating fiercely. Unexpectedly, the surrounding darkness laughed, a vile sound that echoed in her ears. "You'll uncover secrets that should remain hidden, memories too painful for the light. Are you prepared to lose everything?" But Clara's resolve ignited a fierce flame within her heart. "When you love, nothing can truly be lost. I embrace my pain, for every shard of truth will build us anew." In that moment, the light from the amulet exploded, tearing through the oppressive darkness like a sword. Shadows writhed and shrieked, caught off guard by her unexpected strength. Clara felt the power flutter through her, redirecting the whispers of despair into a harmonized call for healing. "Ellie," she shouted, reaching across the chasm. "I'm here. I will bring you back." The shadows receded, revealing glimpses of childhood memories flooding Clara's mind. Laughter in the backyard, lessons learned through scraped knees, moments of joy twisted by underlying grief. Each recollection knit them closer together, stitching love into the fabric of their lives. "Clara!" Ellie's voice rang out clearer, a spark of hope. "Please." With a potent surge, Clara channeled her memories, propelling herself into the heart of the shadows where Ellie was ensnared. "We're more than our past," Clara shouted into the dark. "I see you, I know you, and we will fight together." As she reached the final barrier, Clara pressed her hand against the darkness, feeling the pulse of grief that lay just beneath the surface. "I release you. I acknowledge you. You do not control me." The shadows writhed, screaming, but Clara stood firm, her heart blazing with love. "I will face whatever pain comes from this truth," Clara roared, feeling the warmth of Ellie's spirit enveloping her, merging their souls as they stood united against the looming terror. "Together we will unravel what binds us." With that, Clara shattered the darkness, exposing it to the brilliant light of their shared love. The cries of lost souls faded into whispers, giving way to joyous memories. Clara felt herself pull Ellie closer, bridging the distance that had felt insurmountable. "No more secrets," Clara exclaimed as light burst forth, illuminating the shadowy corners of their past, revealing the pain they had hidden and the love they had fought to preserve. The darkness melted away, its hold disintegrated by the truth that had come to light. Clara and Ellie stood, clasping hands together in the glow of hope. "We did it, Grandma." Ellie beamed and Clara felt her heart swell. "Yes, my sweet girl," she replied, tears streaming down her face. "We faced the truth and we emerged stronger." The world around them shifted, settling into an embrace of calm serenity. The haunting figure of darkness was gone, leaving only a warm glow behind. Clara took a deep breath, the air light and clear, filled with the promise of a new beginning. "Let us go home," Clara said, squeezing Ellie's hand tightly. As Clara and Ellie stepped forward, the shadows faded, leaving Rowell Springs behind them, forever changed. The town held its secrets close, but for Clara and Ellie, their new journey would be defined by understanding, love, and courage to rewrite the narrative of their family together. And as they walked into the sunlight, Clara smiled, knowing that while their past would always be a part of them, it would no longer dictate their future. Now to all of you watching, If you felt that powerful journey with Clara and Ellie, it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss any exclusive stories we uncover next. Smash that like button now, it helps feed the algorithm and brings more people into our story community. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this. Ending your thoughts are what keep the conversation alive. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see it. Only true fans understand the importance of showing support. Let us grow this community together.